sure he had lots and lots and lots of evidence. He had a hunch about it when he was a young man in his 20s. He didn't publish till decades later, and until other people also came up with the same ideas, and he had amassed just hundreds of different kinds of data. He studied pigeons, he studied dogs, he studied barnacles, he traveled around the world, he knew geology and archaeology, and since that time, everything supports his theory. All the evidence we know of shows that all of life, from bacteria to humans, share the same chemicals, the same chemical makeup, the same enzymes, the same processes, the same DNA, the same components, the same building blocks. We share the way we respire with, how our cells respire with bacteria and with lots of, all of life. Okay, we'll move on. It is a progressive creative process. You think about it, God is outside of time and space. So he has created all kinds of things in the world and in nature that show this process. And some examples are regeneration, growth and development, the fact that the earth itself is constantly changing and being reborn. We have tectonic plates. Ecological succession. You wipe out a community and it slowly comes back and becomes more and more complex, more and more interactions all the time. Education, from the time we start school till the time we get to college. Evolution. And these last two are kind of outside the picture here. I just wanted to have them there to remind me to talk about space and time and to talk about potentiality. The Lord is love and creation and potentiality of life. He didn't wake up one day and say, oh, I'm going to create the universe. And then the next day, oh, what am I going to do today? It was all part of a single plan. And if it started over again, the same thing would happen. We'd have intelligent life. The potential, Swedenborg used gravity one time, apparently, the way I understand it. And he called it spiritual gravity. And that is that there's spiritual gravity that pulls all of matter into life, into intelligence, into spirituality. So that it's the grand scheme. When I talk about this in class, my students are still confused. And I'm sure that this short talk isn't going to help fix that with you guys either. But I had a student say, yeah, I see how, the correspondence to regeneration and to succession and all that, but I still don't get it. I can't see how humans who can think and have language and culture could come from single cells. This whole evolution thing. And I said, well, think about it like this. You started out as a single cell. And could you think and learn and speak at that point? And she said, no. And I said, you slowly grew and developed and went through the same stages that all other animals go through as they're developing from a single egg, a single cell that gets fertilized. And you're born. Could you think then? Well, do you remember it? Could you speak? And and you slowly developed, and you needed nurturing, and then you started your education, and she said, oh, okay. And she said, but I don't get the whole thing where we were like, we're descended from apes. And I said, well, we're not, actually. Apes and monkeys in the world today are our cousins. We have the same great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. We have the same creator. We are cousins with the plants. We are cousins with all of life on Earth. But we're not descended from the apes that are here today. They've had just as much time to develop as we have through evolutionary processes. So, spirituality. The new church teaches that humans have a distinctive ability among the living organisms on this earth to attain spiritual levels, while at the same time using our senses, our scientific knowledge and understanding for good uses in the world. And my understanding and my belief about this is that, of course, all of creation is about that, and creating the vessel that can accept the life from the Lord, the love, and return it. And if we rewound and started the whole universe over again, would there be humans? Yes. Would they be exactly the same way that we are? Not necessarily. Would they look the same? I would say not necessarily. I mean, are you any less human if you're born without arms or without legs? Are you any less human if you're born without sight or without being able to hear? These are all things we think of as being part of being human, but they're not. Because you can still be human, you can still love, you can still affect other people and be spiritual without those things. And in some respect, all of life is part of being human, because we could not exist without the earth and without all that is in it. And we were all created by God. So, the ID movement, intelligent design, sounds appealing, doesn't it? And of course there's intelligent design in nature. But the movement, the intelligent design movement, is not based on good science. In fact, it's not based on science at all. It's really a misunderstanding of Revelation, in my opinion, trying to gain credibility by using scientific terminology, but all of their science is, to use someone else's term, dead on arrival. It's not credible, it's easy to punch holes in, and their whole basis is creationism, which is not the same as believing in a creator. And the new church has a unique perspective on this that I think we can share.